apologies in advance, by the way, I'm a really shit interview subject. I mean, I don't really just read one kind of book when it comes to fiction, but I mean, some of my favourites would be, I don't know, Gore Vidal, Andrew Holleran. But then I also love reading classics. I love George Eliot, I love Jane Austen, even though it seems like a cliche to say you like Jane Austen now. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my books right now, like thinking, who do I like on there? Edmund White, I quite like him. Yeah, so, you know, those are some of the authors who I admire. I don't know if I would say that I try and style my own writing on anyone else's particularly, but I suppose you can't help but feed the influence, you know, inevitably they are influential. Well, it's quite painful. You've got to really want to do it. Especially, I find the stretching, but more and more now as I go by, I have all sorts of problems. Like I have problems with my shoulders. I have impingements in both shoulders. I have a recurring problem with one hamstring from overstretching splits on one side, which basically just doesn't seem to be going away. I think I've got a rib sticking out now, which I didn't have here, and it hurts quite a lot when I roll over it on the rope, and I'm kind of hoping that it's just going to push itself back in. So, you know, you've got to kind of deal with the pain. That's quite a tough aspect. Also, it's very time consuming. Like, sometimes it takes a long time to see results, so you've got to stick at it. It's very much like writing in this respect, actually. It pays well and it's regular. I mean, but I enjoy teaching. I mean, I don't know if it's what I'd want to do over like just teaching, but it's satisfying teaching people who are passionate about aerial, and quite a lot of my students are. And the space, I mean, I just started teaching at Circus Space as well, but the other space I teach at, Gravity, it has a core group of students who are really passionate about it, and it's very satisfying teaching people and watching them kind of learn how technique will help you. Because one of the fascinating things about aerial is it seems like it's all strength or flexibility, but it's really technique based, and when you first look at a rope you think it's just a matter of climbing as best you can, but actually there are so many small details that will enable you to climb it in certain ways, they enable you to style your move in certain ways. It's like a vocabulary of its own. It is a vocabulary. I feel more exposed by the writing. It takes me a lot longer to write a book than it does to put together an aerial act generally. And I feel more confident in the aerial because I wouldn't put a trick in unless I'd had feedback already and I kind of knew that it was good. Whereas with writing, the risk element is higher in a way because you just don't know, and so much of writing is dependent on public opinion. In circus, I think, you know, there are people whose opinion, like a circus person, I would trust their opinion. They would know whether or not a trick is good. They will know the difference between a side planche and a curly-whirly, which the average person won't, and which one is harder. But in writing, there are so many different choices. You know, the jury is out on why something is good and why it isn't, why you make certain decisions. I mean, you mentioned a book earlier where the author had deliberately chosen to exclude the word E, and you know, there's some people who would read that and would say, well, this decision is mad, I can't read the book. And there's some people who'd see it and read it and say, this is such a clever intellectual decision, you know, it changes the way you see the book, it redefines literature. And some people would take a bit of both of those things, obviously. So I think writing is more exposing, if that's a good way to put it.